Hi, I'm Natasha Ryan with Premier Risk Solutions, and this is our video series, Strong, Safe, and True, where we sit down with the leading experts in the security industry to talk about topics relevant to today. I am more than excited to have Carlos here with me because we go way back, and we didn't even realize it. We worked together at Disney World in 1999, and when I called to have you on the video series, we made that crazy connection.
Wow, how incredible is that? I
You
mean, that's how
know?
small the world is today. And I tend to find more stuff like this as I get older, and it's super incredible to connect back with amazing folks like yourself. So, hell
Oh,
yeah, let's
thank
do it.
you. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
neat. Okay, all right. So let me get the PowerPoint going here. I want to share my screen with everyone.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about Carlos's presentation is you can apparently bring the Disney magic into everything, even the security sector. So just give us a little bit about your background here with Disney first.
Yeah, it's such an issue because I think once you work for Disney, and once a cast member, always a cast member, and
Always.
yeah, it's difficult to get those amazing things that we learn from working for such a company. So yeah, I started there in 1994, and for everybody, for a great laugh, I started in entertainment. I actually started dancing and singing right at 16 years of age. So when I tell people I was with Disney for 21 years, they're like, "Man, how did you do that? You're still young." And I said, "Well, I started when I was 16." So went to college for criminal justice, the great University of Central Florida, go Knights. And then I started in kind of my security life, I guess, my career within the company. And I went
Mhm.
from everything from being an officer to back then was like undercover, doing undercover works in the shop, dealing with a bunch of different types of crimes, asset protection, park lead, as it says there. Then I had half of the Disney resorts at the time was about 13 of them. Now I think Disney has like 29 total
That's
resorts.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nuts. And then I got moved to kind of like a specialty role where I had the sports complex and the water parks. And a lot of people know the sports complex at the time when I was there was holding the Atlanta Braves, Tampa Bay Buccaneers training facility was there.
Hmm.
1998, 99 was Orlando Magic was out there, and a lot of collegiate sports. So it's oh, by the way, in the National Cheerleading Association, which is one of the craziest
Yes,
events.
I know. I know about that. Yes.
If you've never worked those events, it's crazy. So, and then my last role, I was the security manager for Disney's Hollywood Studios before coming to California. Yeah.
That is a massive amount of territory to oversee and a number of employees. I mean, as we all know, Disney World is huge, and just one of those jobs would receive merit, but let alone all of those. And then what'd you do post Disney?
Yeah, post Disney. So because of a lot of my background in what they call big people security, and or I might have created that, just big people security, big number
Point
security.
it. I love it.
Yeah, I'll take it. So I got invited to come and work at the Great America Complex here in California, which had a park, water park, events hall, outdoor events hall, like 10,000 people. Had a kind of a meeting hall for 3,000 people, and right next to it was Levi Stadium, which was built in the parking lot of the Great America Complex, and it was also the home of the 49ers. And at the time, was Super Bowl 50. So I was one of the directors of security for Super Bowl 50, by the way, out of many. So there's nothing special out of that. Everybody had their own little leadership team there. But it was quite amazing. And then from there, I learned about the tech industry because I moved to Silicon Valley. And I
Sure.
said, what in the world have I been doing? Overworking my shoes to death. I mean, every every 3 months, Natasha, I had to buy new sneakers because you know in that industry, you're standing up your entire shift. You're
Yeah.
walking left
Yeah.
and right, and you're helping operations and food. I mean, you're helping everything. So I learned about the tech industry, got in with Amazon Web Services as a regional leader, and today I'm with Facebook, overseeing a lot of the data centers for Facebook.
Okay, that is
Yeah.
quite a resume. Again, we are just happy you're here with us. And today we are talking about how magic meets security. And one of the things most instilled from Disney and being a cast member, which we both were, is that customer service is paramount no matter what. And that apparently bleeds into every facet of life, including your role still today. So, talk a little bit about the customer approach of magic.
Yeah, how strange in that. I never understood a couple things about security. I always thought we were very rigid. Everybody I ever met came from the military, law enforcement backgrounds, they're very stiff, very rigid. And one of the things that the Disney company taught me right away is that you can be security and still welcome them into your home. Like you could be a nice person and make sure that their needs are being met, right? So I
Yes.
started creating this like magical plan that today I have on corporatemagickeys.com. If anybody wants to go there, corporatemagickeys.com. But I just kind of created a plan. And the approach to kind of how you deal with the customers, I thought was really important to it. And I created kind of this thing. And I always said, I'll wear this name tag, not because it says that I speak those languages fluently, that I was born in Brazil or anything like that. It's just to really say that I was a big time security professional and I was here to help. But I had a lot of the D from Disney was in my DNA. That's kind of what I usually say.
Yeah.
So here's an approach that I think we should think about every time we're talking to a guest or a customer or a partner or whatever the case may be, like your mindset. And I always say that your mindset is like the key to a magical security kingdom. So I knew my role, I knew my mission at the time, and I definitely knew my storyline. I knew what I was there for. And I usually connect it to kind of like a saying, and this one in particular was when you believe in a thing, believe in it all the way, implicitly and unquestionably. And that was something that Walt Disney used to say all the time that I thought was kind of interesting, that we kind of missed that a little bit in the security world. So when I'm going to a tough call, a tough situation or something like that, my mindset has to be right, right? They're going to get mad at me. I know that it's maybe because of the uniform I'm wearing. They're going to get mad at me because
Right.
I'm a representative of a company. They're going to get mad at me because I'm the guy wearing a name tag. So if you already know that when you head, then you know it's not personal. Right? And you just come in with an awesome mindset on how you're going to deal with that. So I thought that was interesting. So I said, how do I
Yeah.
create a magic thing out of that? And that's kind of where I went to the approach magic, and then the greeting piece of it, where you kind of greet everyone, and then being interested about what the customer or the guest or the people that are across from you have to say, your employees, what they have to say about you, and your customer service recovery always at the end, ending the word magic is extremely important. It works for the Walt Disney Company. It should work for almost anybody else. But that was so important in what they were trying to do. And I usually break these down a whole bunch. I know we have very little time, but I have stories for each one of these. Maybe sometime in the future we kind of break it down
Let's
further.
do a deeper dive in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
so let's move on to the critical success match. I love that everything is magic. You've got this all down. I'm digging this. But
I
okay,
was,
so
it
let's
was,
talk critical
yeah,
success now.
it was like 24 years of putting this thing together. But this is what I always thought. In order for you to have some kind of security critical success with your third party vendor, if you are a third party vendor, or if you have your own proprietary security, or if you're selling a service, a security service to someone, I always thought that you had to have critical success points in order for you. And this works anywhere. It works for you, for a team, for anybody that you're working. So
Hmm.
I thought, hey, management brilliance. One of the things that I always dislike about some of the folks that I see out there today is that as a leader, you're afraid to be vulnerable. You're afraid to share your personal story. You're afraid to individualize kind of your approach to each one of the folks that you're dealing with, and you become a robot. And you kind of become a little bit of a micromanager. And I always say micro is not magical. Get the hell out of here. If you're going to micromanage people, you need to be somewhere
Micro is
else.
not magical. I would agree with that.
So yeah, you can take that one and run with it. So micro's not magical. I told my boss that one time, and he knew I was joking, but it was always good. And then A was a passion for service brilliance. What happens is that people don't know their audience. They don't know their mission. They don't talk about it. At Disney, if you remember, we used to go to this thing called Traditions in the beginning of time, where we sat in a room for like the weekend for 2 days next
Yes.
to possibly a VP. Like they were in our table, because that's what Disney does. Puts everybody in one room together to talk about the mission, so we all have the same mission. It's kind of the idea, Natasha. If you remember, don't pass it up, pick it up. Everybody picks up garbage from the floor,
Right.
including the VP, right? And so it's having a passion for service.
I still do that, by the way.
Well, you,
If something's on the floor at a store, I just pick it up, even if because it's just habit.
it's horrible. I know. I do the same. My wife hates it, by the way. Um, but so the A, right? The A for Magic under security critical success. The G. Sorry, it's great partnering. I break this down a lot on partnership magic, so I'll kind of skip this one. But you have to be adamant with this thing called friendship walks. which I'll break down a little bit later. And then C, consistency and communication. Consistency works with your kids. Communication works with your partner. If it works with them, it should work at work, and we don't use that enough. So there you go. Those are the magic for security critical success.
Okay, now let's talk about leadership.
Yeah,
which you have done a lot of. So let's pick
leadership
on this.
Thank God for Disney, once again, in the hospitality industry that guided me how to act in the security industry. So here it is. I'm going to break it down real quick. And if anybody ever has questions about this, by the way, they're more than welcome to reach out to me or back to you, Natasha, and then you kind of come back to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
However that goes. But here it is. So here are the magic for it. And it's mentor and motivate others. If this is not your personal mission as a leader today, go call yourself a manager and go do something else. You got to be a leader, but you have to want to motivate and mentor others. That should be your primary goal. Assign trust and give people the ability to gain your trust. And I say micro is not magical, as I mentioned before. We don't give our people enough trust. We hire the best, at least we say we hire the best, and then we micromanage them and don't allow them to succeed. This is something that we should really think about. Guide by example, start first every time. There's not a time at the Walt Disney Company, especially when bag checks came to be, that when it was time to open up another table to bag check, that me as a leader didn't jump on that table first to help bag check until an officer came. I never called for an officer and waited there and said, yeah, take over.
Yeah.
That's just not what we do, right? So you got to lead first. You got to guide by example. I instill company values, always remind people of your mission, your vision, the keys to your business, right? Like I said before in that story, the VP and your hourly person, in our case, a lot of 16-year-old folks working the cash register, they had the same mission, and that's important. So you got to instill the company values. And C, for Magic, is create a culture of openness, measured risk, and follow through. And the openness is an extremely important part, especially in today's world. We work with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different countries, different worlds. Yep. We even have some aliens, I think, amongst us. That's a whole other.
It's a whole another topic.
I'll tell you. But that's that. So that's the magic on that.
So is this where you want to do your talk on friendship walks? Because I love this.
So this is what happens. Yeah. So this is what happened with friendship walks. So partnership is extremely important. Nothing works without partnership. And it doesn't matter if you're purchasing a service from someone, that's still a partnership. Yes, you pay them. However, if you're not partnering and talking to each other and making things work, it's pointless. You just threw your money away, right? Okay.
Right.
So here's a key. What I used to do, manage your partner's concerns. The way I used to do that, I used to do these things called friendship walk. So in the morning or during the day, I would block out an hour. And I was very adamant about this. I would block out an hour in the afternoon and an hour in the morning, or vice versa. In the morning was to walk amongst my people, my officers. And my job was not to talk about work, it was to talk about them, their lives, individualize each one of our conversations to each one of them. And then in the afternoon, I would walk backstage areas, as we call it at Disney. I would go meet my merchandise partners. I would meet my food and beverage partners. I would meet my operational partners. And I say, hey, let's go take a walk. And I would walk their area with them. And guess what magic would happen around that time? They would tell me about everything that ached them in the operation. They would tell me everything that hurt them. So I knew what hurt them. And if there was something that I could help them with, I'd be like, hey, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Which is something that we don't do, Natasha. We don't. There's this weird thing about going out there and really understand our partners' businesses so we can get better. Which then it leads to me, which is the A for magic in this one, to anticipate my partner's expectations. Which is extremely important to that, because now I'm able to anticipate. And here's the third one, which is the G for magic on this one: give value to their business. That's so funny because it's the easiest thing to do is give somebody a compliment.
Right.
Hey, nice shirt, man. Look at those shoes. Somebody asked me, man, how do you say that to women? And I said, well, I usually say, hey, that's a lovely shirt. My wife would probably love it. And it right away, right? Kind of, it's like, because like,
diffuses, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, no, man, I'm just, I'm giving. So I'm giving thanks, but same thing in a business. If a business does something that makes my business better, I have to let them know. You know what you did when you moved those pallets to the right? You made my business more efficient, faster, and now my security people didn't have to get involved. Thank you very much. You are awesome. So give value to their business. Inculcate trust and respect. Make sure you trust them and you respect them. And then in return, it comes back to you. And then the C, commit only to what you can do and follow through. This is extremely important because a lot of people out there in the world will commit to a bunch of things that they cannot do.
My boss always says, don't overpromise because you don't want disappointed clients.
Right? So even when I don't have something, at Disney, we never say no. So I never said no to my partners. I would say, hey, I don't have that answer for you. Give me a little bit of time and let me see what I can do. And what would happen is that within an hour, I'd put a timer on. Within an hour, I would get back to them with an answer. Now, it didn't have to be the answer they wanted or the answer they liked, but it had to be an answer. So I might say, hey, I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get back to you, because what I didn't want is for them to start making up in their own mind what the answer was going to be. So I didn't want to do that to them. And that is the C, commit to only what you can do and follow through. We need this back in the security world. We need to bring this back in our operations, in any type of consulting business that deals with the security world. Got to bring this in. You got to be conscious of that and make it happen.
It's so funny we're having this conversation because I literally didn't have an answer for a client. And instead of just waiting for the answer, I wrote back, I said, hey, I can't get you that answer, but I promise as soon as I have it, I'm going to pass it along. Didn't forget about you. Just wanted to let you know. I never even tied it to, and I get so frustrated at stores when I ask, like, where is this? And they're like, man, I don't know. And I'm like, that's not an answer. And I never tied it back to when you work for Disney, you can't say that. You have to say, you know what, let me find out for you. And I think now I'm like tying it all. You're bringing it all back to the roots. But I learned it.
So rough. My family members hate it. I mean, my wife, everybody, because I go into a restaurant, I'm not judgmental, but I expect a certain amount of service.
Your expectations are way too high.
It's horrible, but that's the expectations that we need to bring back to the security industry today. I mean, look, manpower, there's like I thought when it came to supply and demand of, like, let's say operational hours or manpower for our businesses, I thought we hit the equilibrium before COVID-19. What's going to happen now? There's going to be more demand for security and less people to do it. So now you got to bring in that customer centric stuff to make up for all of that. And we got to start today and not leave it for, 20 years from now. It might be too late.
Well, I love it. I love putting Disney in everything in life. So why not the security industry, right? Okay, now today is a big day for you. We have to touch on this. Carlos has penned a book, and I want you to tell us the name of it, how we get it, and what it's all about.
So I have to say, I just got a note from the publisher. I am the #1 new release on Amazon, and Woo! I am like 12th in the world in under operations book, and like 30 something on some other thing.
Congratulations.
Yep, thank you. It is called So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security. And it's a book that I kind of put down to help all the military, law enforcement, emergency services, and federal career folks transition into corporate. So not just corporate security, though it says that. It just happens to be my background. But you can use it for almost anything. You can get it on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on paper. And I am recording right now the audio version of the book because I know I'm lazy and I like Audible. And
I love Audible. Yes.
So that will be out soon. But the book is out today at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. California time. We go live on YouTube for the event, the book release event. You can find me on LinkedIn. My YouTube channel is the Corporate Security Translator. My podcast channel is the Corporate Security Translator. And you can find me on Clubhouse in BSing About Security on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. But that was it.
I'm hopping on that. I saw that. I want to hop on that one Tuesday. You know what, Carlos, congrats. Thank you so much on this day, especially for taking the time to be on the video series with me. And like Carlos said, reach out to him with any questions. If you have any for me, Natasha Ryan at Premier Risk Solutions. Thanks to everyone for watching. And of course, come back to premierrisksolutions.com every week for videos just like this one. Carlos, I will talk to you soon, friend. Thank you.
That was awesome. We'll see ya.